All right, good morning, everybody. My name is Chris Sant. I'm a product manager on the desktop team where I focus on the Pro SDK. Thanks very much for joining our session this morning. Here's our overview. We're going to be demonstrating extensibility with ArcGIS Pro and showing that through 4 add-ins. We have 3 partner add-ins. We're really excited to show these to you today. The first is Powerline Visualizer, which allows you to see creating 3D visualizations and how that's done in Pro. Next is the Exploration Analyst, which allows you to actually see many different integrations for geological analysis. We'll go through XTools Pro, which provides a set of efficiency tools for you to take advantage of with many different data management capabilities. And then we'll wrap up with ICAP, the intelligence configuration for ArcGIS Pro. We'll look at how this focuses Pro for intelligence analysts. We'll go through each one of these, and then we'll talk about different resources that are available for your work. First, a little background on Pro and Pro add-ins. So Pro add-ins are built with the Pro SDK. And they allow you to have powerful customizing and extending capabilities. There's 3 main patterns. The first is traditional add-ins, which allows you to develop new tools, capabilities, really have a lot of control over customizing the user interface. The screenshot on the left is of the animated symbols add-in. And this is essentially a new add-in that the MapX team came out with last year for animating in-place symbols and doing that through a very easy workflow. The next pattern is configurations, which allows you to have a whole set of deeper customization capabilities, especially over the startup experience, and allows you to streamline the user interface. The screenshot on the right is the ICAP start page, and we're going to be demonstrating this towards the end of the session. Our final pattern is plug-in data sources, and actually this is brand new at 2.3. This allows you to develop custom data sources and actually have them work in Pro like standalone tables or read-only feature classes. So new capabilities here at 2.3. The SDK itself, for building add-ins, it provides you with new templates and tools to actually streamline your development of Pro in Visual Studio. It's a modern framework using .NET, lots of new capabilities, lots of improvements over ArcObjects SDK with ArcMap. So you can really get in and start doing a lot of great new things. You'll be developing again in Visual Studio 2015 and 2017 with 2019 support provided later this year. We're hoping to get that in for 2.4. All right, so, and as always, we have online guides, a number of samples. We have over 150 samples now that you can take and try and integrate with your own code. And all of our releases for the Pro SDK are in sync with ArcGIS Pro. So we just came out with 2.3 back in January, and these APIs, again, are growing with each release. All right, so just a little bit of background there. Let's get into the demonstrations. So these are the discussion points we'll address for each one of those 4 demonstrations. We'll give you an overview of the add-in, and then we'll talk about how it actually does extend ArcGIS Pro. We'll show you a video of the demonstration. We'll actually be focusing each one of those videos on just the customizations. A little bit about workflow, but really trying to emphasize the customizations and what was done for each one of these add-ins. And then we'll have some discussion about the APIs and how you can actually tap into some of that functionality yourself with your own add-ins. That's the idea with this whole session, is to really give you ideas on how you can take some of these patterns and actually use them with your own customizations. And then we'll wrap up with some resources that you can actually find for using each one of these. All right, let's get started here first with the Powerline Visualizer. This allows extension of Pro with tools for building realistic 3D visualizations. All right, so the add-in itself was a collaboration between Geocom Informatic from Switzerland with VRBN from Switzerland as well, both Esri partners. This was released at the end of last year. The audience is electric transmission users. The whole idea here is actually visualizing transmission lines. So this focus is 3D and map exploration. So the tools itself, the add-in itself provides a set of tools that actually are easy to use. You can actually just build your workflow. It generates that 3D visualization using City Engine rule packages and sets up that whole transmission line, power line for you. And it really does, as it works, it's actually creating that model in a way that is very quick and very easily. You can actually remove it. You can target, it's really kind of targeted for planners who are actually looking to visualize that and actually perhaps try a different location of the transmission line. So it gives you tools to actually render that in a very easy way. It also provides a series of settings to control that visualization through all these different 3D features. All right, so let's take a look at this first demonstration, kind of get into it here. The Powerline Visualizer add-in comes with its own project. So you can take a look at some existing towers and transmission lines. Are you guys hearing that okay in the back? Notice the sag that's represented in these features based upon the elevation of the tower and the direction. Moving along, you can see how that sag is rendered here and how realistic the towers are. The team's done a really good job with the City Engine rendering of these. Now here is the Powerline Visualizer add-in tab, and all of the controls are available here in one grouping called Visualization. There's 3 buttons, and then the About button. Here you can see the information, Geocom and VRBN, and a link to the online help documentation, which is very responsive. Taking a look at the settings, you'll see that the settings have been placed onto a dock pane, and it's very nice in the way that it's laid out, very clean. And on the top right, you'll notice that there's access to online help about the settings. If you click that, you'll be taken to the settings help, which is very handy. On the left-hand side, you can also get shortcuts to information, and you can see that that's been provided for each one of these, so you can get immediate access to information about each one of these inputs. All right, so taking a look at the data, you'll see that there is a power line feature class. It's the red polyline here. And you'll notice that a section of it is selected. The overall workflow drives off of a selected portion of one of these power lines. We're now going to generate a rendering based upon that City Engine German tower and transmission line rule package. We're going to click on the Visualize button here. You can see the progress bar is very quick, and then the toast notification on the top right, which is very helpful to see that the process is actually working. You can see some of the towers being rendered, and then a final confirmation dialog that there has been a successful revisualization, in this case, of the rendering. And we're going to refresh the map, and here are the towers. And you can see as it's taking into consideration the elevation of the towers, we're actually working off of an elevation surface. It's a very realistic rendering, does a really nice job of incorporating the City Engine rule package. And once again, this is driven off of the selected polyline in that power line feature class. And here's the end of the line that we just visualized and rendered. We're now going to remove the existing visualization that we just created and replace it with US towers. Nice dialog box for selecting.
selecting the USA rule package and saving that setting here. Now coming back to the tab, clicking on the remove button, you can see that it's been selected. There's the dialog and toast notification again. Once it completes, you can see that the line's been removed. Opening up again, selected, now visualizing. There's the toast notification. And now there's the USA transmission towers, the confirmation dialog. Refreshing the map. And there they are. You can see those are rendered quite well with the other city engine rule package.
Okay, that's our first demo. So let's take a look at some things that Geocom and VRBN did on this add-in. Okay, so as you saw, that was really fast generation of the 3D renderings. So it was really quite well done in the way that they kind of had these two different city engine rule packages, the German towers as well as the US towers, to be able to show you how each of those city engine rule packages could be consumed and used for those displays. They had a really nice set of, the dock pane itself had a really nice collection of settings, so you had full control over all of the different inputs, the different feature classes that were actually used throughout the workflow. So they did a really nice job. You notice the save button at the bottom, of course, and so the overall workflow was really nice, and a really nice condensed set of tools on the dock pane. So they had taken a look at the APIs that were used. The map authoring API allowed for that rendering of the layer symbology with the city engine rule package. We actually do have some resources that are available online for this. Our map authoring documentation, the Pro Concepts page, as well as we do have a sample, community sample that's out there right now, symbol layer with rule packages, so that you could actually try some of this functionality out yourself and with your own city engine rule packages. The team also did quite a bit of work on editing, the creating of all those new feature classes, how they were actually working with that in the workflow. And then the framework API, and taking a look at all of the different UI settings and notifications that were occurring. The toast notifications, the dialog boxes, the message boxes that confirmed the processes had completed. It was really nicely laid out and well done. Custom tab and buttons, and of course, the use of a dock pane for capturing all of those settings and displaying those. The geodatabase, again, was used, the geodatabase API, for working with all the different feature classes and selections. All right, so that's a look at some of the different extensibility aspects here for Powerline Visualizer. Let's move on to our next demonstration. This one is going to be the Exploration Analyst from Exprodat, looking at how you can extend Pro with advanced spatial analysis tools. So the Exploration Analyst was developed by Exprodat, an Esri partner out of the UK. It was released last year, Q4 of 2018. The audience is natural resources and petroleum. Overall, spatial analysis, a set of really sophisticated tools for analyzing basin and play sites. So the emphasis here in extending Pro is that it makes it easy for exploration geologists, geoscientists to really take advantage of some very sophisticated tools to do petroleum play chance analysis. And I'm really happy to be showing you a video on this one because I'm not a geologist, and so there's some really sophisticated work that goes on with these tools. Overall, it's extending Pro by really providing you a set of tools that are used through the dock panes. They have a really nice overall set of workflows that are defined for how each one of these are done and managed. And it's laid out really nicely. And they have some really sophisticated third-party graphing that's been integrated into it. So you'll see that through the demonstration here. Okay, let's take a look.
The Exploration Analyst add-in uses its own custom tab. Here you can see that the leftmost grouping of controls is for administration. The Get License button is deactivated because we already have a license in play. Second grouping is chance mapping. As you can see, there's many different types of controls, all very responsive. Good use of tooltips. Here in the next grouping for resources, these are some of the more involved and complex analysis tools. The last grouping is the help grouping, and here's the About dialog box. There's also online help available. We'll now take a look at one of the tools that's provided here on the resources grouping, Analyze Pool Sizes. The tool is hosted on a doc pane, and we're stretching it out here so that you can take advantage of visualizing some of the data. Some of the inputs are provided. The team's done a really nice job of organizing the information, making it clear and easy to be seen and selected. And it's done a nice job of condensing some of the information. There's a lot of settings that are made available here. And now you can see some of the third-party graphing package integration. And as more data is selected, the charts are updated. There's the progress dialog box. And so that shows when it's really nice to be able to see that something's happening when updates are occurring. And there's the tabular data on the lower right. And there's a legend lower left, the progress dialog box. You can scroll along. There's sorting available as part of the table. And now you can notice that as you hover over the elements in the graph, and then looking over at the map view on the left-hand side, you'll see that integration between hovering over those items in the graph highlights items in the map view. So it's a nice integration between the two views of the data. You can see that the updates that you make are very responsive with the graphing. And the team's done a really nice job with the WPF experience to make sure that those updates within the doc pane are very quick and responsive. And again, the progress dialog showing those updates as you can see changing to the tabular histogram view and hovering over those, you can see some of the attribute values are available there using those legend colors. Again, all of it is really well packaged. It's very tight and responsive. It's a large amount of data, a large amount of settings that have been provided in this single tool, but it's all working very well together. There's just a significant number of ways of actually displaying the data. Here's another set of data showing another range of this subgroup of data. And again, that interaction between showing how you can select and hover over those elements and get some information and see the highlighted elements in the map view. The last thing to take a look at here is the 3D rendering of some of the data It's been created by some of the tools, including this 3D view of the boreholes for the wells. Now taking a look at some of the symbology. Team has done a really nice job of creating some nice renderings of the data that is output from the tools that are included with the add-in.
Okay, nice. So let's take a look at some of the things that they did. Pretty nice tools there. Really nice use of the WPF and the dock pane, all working really well together there. So as I just mentioned, team really did a lot of different things with WPF, and really nice use of really nice use of space. A lot was going on there in that single dock pane. Really nice integration of that third-party graphing, the capabilities for data analysis, responsive, the work in between the map view and the charts. So for the APIs that were used here, I just wanted to kind of focus on one of them here, the framework. Team built out a very nice custom tab, a lot of different controls that were used. They organized them very well. As this is a product, the team did build in licensing, so that was part of that first grouping of controls that you saw there, and did a really nice job of putting that right into the actual dock pane. The overall samples that you can take advantage of for all the different framework type work is available online. The framework, a Pro Concepts document is definitely one of the key documents to start with. We have a whole set of framework samples for you to try out there as well. For editing, the team did a lot of work with updating of layers. Some of the different workflows, of course, we didn't have time to take a look at them, but there was a lot of work in generation of new feature classes and updating of some existing ones and rendering of those as well. The Geodatabase API also was used for managing of layers. There's a lot of different selections and queries, spatial filters. A lot of that was being used behind the scenes. As well as geoprocessing. So the team tapped into the API to create layers, schema. There's a lot of data processing that's going on throughout these different workflows. Finally, for the different renderings of the layers, the map authoring API is definitely something that was used here. You definitely want to take a look at some of the documentation that's available online to be able to do similar things with rendering using all of the different symbology that's available in Pro. All right, so that's our second demo. Let's take a look at the next one here. It's XTools Pro. And XTools Pro is a set of tools for efficiency and data management. These have been out for a while, of course, with ArcMap, and the team has ported these over and made them available for ArcGIS Pro. It was one of the first commercial add-ins that was released back in 2016. And it's from our partner Data East and XTools LLC. The audience here is the general ArcGIS Pro user. So power users, any user that's looking to take advantage of capabilities in Pro more efficiently and have a nice set of tools to actually work with Pro and do especially a lot of emphasis on data management. So again, the overall emphasis is to provide that set of tools. It is called XTools, to provide tasks, capabilities that can be really make your work much more efficient. It's done a nice job of extending Pro through a set of tools that have been placed on the UI, on the actual ribbon. And you'll see that in just a moment. They've done a really nice job of laying this out. The data management tools, they have an overall format, as you'll see, which is very easy to use. It's very consistent, so it makes for a good user experience. The way that they've actually implemented this in WPF is very nice. So, and they have many tools for different operation types, so they've taken advantage of the full gamut of the APIs to manage these. And they have some interesting tools for data copying and going to different locations that are similar to Pro. So let's take a look at this demonstration.
XTools Pro uses its own custom tab to organize and present its tools for the user. Here are the groupings: copy properties, which are inactive at the moment, the Go To button, and then a gallery of the majority of the XTools. And there's the product grouping with options. Here's the About dialog, registration, and access to the online help. XTools Pro has done a nice job of using the contextual nature of Pro. Coming back to the copy properties, you can see that that grouping is inactive until you select a feature class layer, where you can then take advantage of some of the copy properties here. You can see they've got a nice sort of standard look to their dialogues. Have some ability to manage those settings quite easily. Taking a look at the Go To group, these buttons have been organized into a button palette, which allows you to take a look at the current map view extent in the browser of your choice. In this case, Bing has been chosen. And it was very responsive in opening the browser and allowing you to take a look at that map view extent. The next grouping is the tools grouping, which is where the majority of the XTools are provided here on this gallery. You can see they've been divided into nice logical groupings and with different icons for each tool, which are intuitive. And finally, taking a look at the options. This is the options dialog. You'll notice nice interaction of the selections, how they're highlighted with the green color. There's consistent tools along the bottom left for taking snapshots and getting access to the online help, which is very handy. And reset buttons. All of these provide a consistent look and feel, consistent experience between the different tools and dialogues. Let's take a look now at using one of the tools and actually how that dialog looks. We're going to select one of the building footprints here and run one of the tools on just this selected feature. Going back to the gallery and selecting one of the tools here, the Square Off Polygons tool. Notice the look of these tools, which is consistent throughout the add-in, which makes for a very good user experience. On the left-hand side, there is the consistent ability to interact with shortcuts to get access to make the controls, the inputs visible, which can be very handy. And you can collapse and expand that. Everything is very quick. It's very responsive. The selection, tool tips, very helpful. Everything works very quick. And again, the ability to run once you have all the inputs, and that's enabled. You can see the prompts and progress dialog, and everything looks consistent and works very quickly and very well. Just to show you the results of that Square Off polygon, a lot better than the previous. One more tool to take a look at here is the Scale Manager. Again, a consistent sort of look and feel with the gray and the green. consistent buttons on the bottom along the left. Here, settings on the right-hand side. Team has done a nice job of organizing these with different controls, options which make it very easy and intuitive to understand those settings. And lastly, the save button becomes activated after there's actually a setting change and there's something to save.
All right. So, XTools did a lot to make each one of those tools very consistent. That was really nice to see. It's really, again, makes for a nice user experience. So let's take a look at the extensibility on this one. They are using, again, a custom tab. They're really making nice use of the gallery control. You can see that it's a really nice way for them to actually organize a lot of tools in a very small space. And as you selected each one of the tools, it was placed into that overall initial easy to access selection area. So they did a really nice job with that. They used, as you know, states and conditions for activating the copy tools on the UI, on the actual ribbon. So that was held off until you were actually ready to use it. So that whole contextual nature of Pro. The main Pro APIs used again here, they did a lot of, since they're doing so much data management work, the editing API is where they were definitely tapping into here. They had a lot of attribute updates, a lot of work there, extensive use of edit operations. That's definitely something that Pro is, it's the main Pro pattern for actually using editing. And we've got a series of resources that are available on editing. The Pro Concepts page, you'll get the link here to that. We have lots of snippets to take a look at and try out here, as well as that gallery sample that's actually online for you to use. The next API is the GeoDatabase API. So they did some work with feature classes. Again, lots of queries and selections, like some of the other add-ins that were used here and demonstrated. So, as well as the geometry API. They were building new features. They were actually taking advantage of some of those different capabilities with those features and doing lots of different things in a very efficient way, manipulating those, actually doing some alignment. And finally, map exploration. So there was different views being used here. As you can see, they were using the go-to capability of those controls, managing scale with that scale manager tool, as well as holding off and managing a number of different properties. Okay, so that's just a quick glimpse of some of the different ways that XTools had been extending Pro for efficient use of the application. All right, our last demonstration here. Let's move on to ICAP. Okay. So ICAP, or the Intelligence Configuration for ArcGIS Pro, has been built to streamline and focus workflows for intelligence analysts. This is a free ArcGIS solution that came out last year in Q3. And again, the audience is for intelligence and defense analysts. The tool set has been built off of many of the defense solutions that are out there, and migrating some of those tools that have been used for years in ArcMap and making them available in Pro, and really focusing this for analysis. Team's done a really nice job here of using a configuration, the solution configuration pattern, to provide a focused set of tools to explore and visualize intelligence data. So you're going to see how the configuration pattern has been used. The whole startup experience of Pro is custom. And each one of the toolbars is going to be, each one of the actual tabs has been streamlined. The controls have been customized for focus on intelligence workflows. There's been spatial queries that have been integrated, as well as many other different types of functionality for alerts and different types of notifications, as well as some custom functionality here in terms of link charts for managing and visualizing relationships of the data in the map view. All right, so let's take a look here. Demonstration of this one.
Configurations built with the Pro SDK are always started from a shortcut. Let's take a look at the properties. The ICAP shortcut here has a /config ICAP configuration command line option. That's to start the ICAP configuration. There's always one configuration per Pro session. Here's the ICAP splash screen, which is a capability with any configuration. And here is the start page for ICAP. There's the custom icon once again for your branding of Pro. And here you can see that there is the capability at the top to start some templates. In the center, there's the project selector carousel tool, which works really nice for storing bitmap images of the last views of those. You can open an existing project and also take a look at the settings and getting to the Pro backstage right from the start page. Let's start the threat picture project. And as Pro is starting, the configuration is customizing each one of the tabs in Pro. Here you can see the custom icon once again right at the top. And now we're looking at the Map tab, which has been customized just with the controls that would be specific to the needs of the intelligence analyst. As well, the data, analysis, and other tabs are customized also. Let's take a look at each one of these tabs. See the imagery tab. Of course, there's that contextual view with Pro with some controls being deactivated, awaiting the proper context to be activated. And coming back to the analysis tab, let's take a look at these two tools right here, distance and direction. You can see that each one of the tabs within that tool's dock pane provides a different input view. Same thing with the visibility tool and its line of sight tabs. It's possible to open geoprocessing tools directly from the UI. Here, the incident path geoprocessing tool is available, and that is part of the functionality that you'll find both with add-ins and configurations. Taking a look now at the alerts tool, you can see how this dock pane has been customized quite a bit with different types of tools, and depending upon the type of alert that's being selected, here it's distance from point, the inputs are unique, and the team has done a nice job of building some active tool context to make it a little bit easier to see and read. Coming back to the contents pane, we're going to take a look at one of the other capabilities of ICAP, which is link charts, which are hosted on one of their own unique views. And just like any dock pane, it can be docked, and the link chart properties are open by default. This is now taking a look at the clustered view of the elements which are matching the Monterey unit's feature class features. And you can modify the views horizontal and vertical. And let's select one of those elements. You can see that it's also selected on the map view. You can see that it's very quick, responsive. Selecting multiple elements are selected in the map view quickly as well. And those are some of the customizations that have been made available as part of ICAP.
Okay. And again, ICAP is an ArcGIS solution, so you can download that today if you wanted to take a look at it and try it out and get some ideas for your actual add-ins and, in this case, solution configuration. All right, so taking a look at the overall extensibility here, there's, as you can see, a lot of work that's been done. But let's just focus on a few areas. It used the configuration pattern and template to create a focused solution. So that overall startup experience, we spent a little bit of time here talking about how the start page actually worked. And it really provides a number of ways to actually get at data. So the team did a nice job in terms of looking at a way to get at all the different ICAP templates, as well as just a creative way of selecting a project. We do have 2 samples that are online, Config with Map and Config with Start Wizard, which can give you a lot of great ideas to actually take advantage of all the capabilities of configurations. These also provide some access to ArcGIS Online and how you can integrate some of that into the actual start page. All right, so moving on, the data management tools and templates, the team was using the editing APIs quite a bit. There's a lot of work that they did for actually working with editing of data throughout the actual solution configuration. Map authoring, they have a number of different military symbol dictionaries that were available, and they had a symbol editor as well. So the team really did spend a lot of time to make sure that analysts have access to all the different types of symbols for their maps in a very efficient way. Map exploration is the last API to kind of mention here. The team did take advantage of a number of different things when they were building those visibility and line of sight tools. You can see that they were using doc panes extensively to show that, and did some nice work with WPF to actually make it easy to use those tools and show you how those were selected. Okay, so that's the last of our demonstrations. I just wanted to show you a few of our different key SDK resources as you get started. Our landing page at pro.arcgis.com is the best place for you to get started with the SDK. It's got all of our shortcuts to actually how to install the SDK, actually work with the samples, get access to the dev labs. All of the key concept documents have been outlined here in the different sections here. We definitely encourage you to try the pro concepts and read the pro concepts as you try those out first. And also links to our Pro SDK group on GeoNet. I'll mention that in a little bit more. It's definitely a really great resource as you get started. We also have tech session video recordings available from previous dev summits and user conferences, as well as links to some updates on blog posts. The documentation wiki is on GitHub. So this provides you access to all of the documentation on the Pro patterns and APIs that we mentioned here today. Do check out, again, all of the different items here, the Pro concepts, the Pro guides, which are very nice, easy to follow walkthroughs of the capabilities and step-by-step ways to actually use and follow these tutorials. There's Pro snippets, so as you get to using each one of these capabilities, you can probably find something that somebody really has used before and somebody needs, and so you can really get access to each one of those from the snippets. We have many other resource documents that are available on the site, as well as all of the links to all of the other types of API reference and other resources that you would need. Last, I wanted to mention the community samples. This is probably one of the best sites for you to actually get started and try out the capabilities of the SDK. We have samples for all the different Pro patterns and APIs. They're all organized quite well on GitHub. You can download them as a single zip file, extract that out to your machine, and get started right away in trying each one of them out. The code is, again, all free, ready for you to use in your own projects. And these are updated for each release. So we carry these forward, and the team is curating these and making sure that they're working with the latest releases. Last, I wanted to just mention the Pro SDK group on GeoNet again. If you're not taking part of the community yet, please do check it out and join the conversations here. You have the opportunity to ask your technical questions. You have the capability to search on threads and find some answers to existing questions. A lot of these questions have been asked over the past few years and are available for you to search on. We also are always encouraging your feedback, and the group is a great place to do that. When perhaps you may be finding a gap with some of your work, and you'd like some of that capability to be built out at the SDK, please do give us your feedback on that on the SDK group as well. And we're always doing our best to provide you with different product updates and blogs here as well. All right, so that wraps up our session here. Please do take our survey on the app. We're always looking forward to your feedback.